Start with object-oriented programming. Look, in Selenium, everything is based on object-oriented programming. Fine. I'll make a class day2. Okay. In Selenium, everything is based on OOPS. Okay. And there are different components of OOPS. Okay. First is like object creation, then interfaces, inheritance. Okay. So let's start with basic things that what objects are and how do we create them and how are they useful. Okay. So look, the thing is, in day2 project which I just made, I'll just make a new class and I'll call it as phone. Okay. Now, what are
Ashish,
the
I'm not able to see your screen.
I've shared my screen is like you guys are not able to see it.
I'm able to see it.
We can see your screen. I can
Uh,
see.
I'm
Okay. Hold on.
not able to see them.
I am sharing it
I'll
again.
rejoin otherwise.
Hold on. Hold on. I've shared my screen again. Okay.
Okay.
So this is, I hope you're able to see it now. Right. So this is the phone class. Right. And guys, I request you to keep your microphones on mute because there are disturbances and all which come up. Please check your microphone is if it is on mute. Okay. So fine. So this is the phone class and you can have functions like public void call. Fine. And you can print inside it that phone calling. Okay. Then you can have a function like message. Okay. And you can print that phone messaging. Okay. So I'm starting from the very basics. All right. And these are known as non-static functions. Now, what do you mean by non-static functions? Sometimes, yesterday I had made the program. You would had seen keyword static and also what is static, what is non-static, and how do we work with them. All right. Look, I'll start with the object creation of the phone class. I'll create a new class known as test phone with the main function. Okay. I did not make any main function inside this phone.java. This phone.java is just having two functions like this. Okay. So in test phone.java, I am going to create something known as object of the phone class. Okay. I am going to create object of the phone class. And how do we do that? You just have to go and write phone p equals to new phone. When you write like this, then you are basically creating the object of the phone class. In the memory, object is created. Now object and object references both are created. Okay, let me delete the left hand side. Okay, let me just write new phone. If even if you write new phone, then the object of the phone class is created inside the memory. So inside the memory, what happens is that object of phone class is created. Okay, that object has got functions which we just made, call, and that object has the function message. Okay, if you have any variables in the phone class, suppose I have the variable string name of the phone, then this particular object would also have name, variable name. But this object cannot be accessed. It is just there lying in the memory. Okay,
Hello Ashish, sorry to disturb you. Actually, because of my internet, your screen is freezed for me. I have checked my internet now. Can you please reshare the screen so that
okay.
I can see?
Hold
Yeah,
on, I'm sharing it again.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I have shared the screen. Right. So again, I have shared it. So this is the object. It's got three properties: name, call, and message. Okay. So it is hanging in the memory. It cannot be accessed. To access this object, you need to create something known as object reference. You need to write like this: phone, say P1 equals to new phone. So P1 is the object reference and P is the phone object. Okay, P1 is going to point towards this object. Okay, object and object references are different. With object reference, you can access things inside the object. Okay, I can write over here P1 dot name is, say, iPhone. Yes, I can write P1 dot call and uh, P1 dot message, right? And if I just run this, it'll it'll print phone calling and phone messaging. Right, these two functions can be called with the help of P1. And if I print the name of the phone in phone calling and phone messaging, right? If I just print the name of the phone, then you will you will actually be getting the name of the phone printed in the end. Okay, right. All right. So out here, I can create as many objects of the phone class. I can create the object P2 and I can write P2 dot name is 1 plus, and I can call P2 dot call P2 dot message. I can call these two functions. Right. So out here, in the memory, a new object will be formed. This new object would again have its name, call function, and message function. All right, and it is accessed with the help of P2. Name of this object is say OnePlus. The name of this phone, sorry, and this is iPhone. So with the help of P1 and P2, we access the state of the objects. We access name, call, message, name, call, message. Okay, but when P2 is accessing, it will access its own set of functions and name. And when P1 is accessing, it will have its own set of functions and names. So over here, if I run this, you see this is from P2. Okay, I can also print say P1 dot name and P2 dot name over here. So it will just directly print the names. Pretty simple. Okay, it's not uh, actually uh, it's not printing the same names. Okay, you see when P1 is printing the name, it is printing the name of P1, and when P2 is printing, it is printing the name of P2. The name property is just one in the class. Okay, there is just one name, but it depends how many objects you create. Okay, if I create another object, if I write say phone P3 equals to new phone. Okay, I can give the name, say P3 dot name is say I'll just write say Samsung. So if I print P3 dot name, it will give me Samsung. Okay, so it is pretty simple. You just create the object of the class and give it a reference. With the help of reference, you can simply change the state of the objects individually. Okay, individually you can change the state of the objects. So over here, oh, just a minute. This thing sometimes stops working. Right. So over here we had say three objects. This was first one, second one, third one, and there were three references pointing towards this object. Okay, uh, P1, P2, and P3. The name over here was iPhone. The name over here was OnePlus, and the name over here was Samsung. Okay, now comes a little tricky part. Okay, what if I write P1 equals to P3? Okay, P1 equals to P3. This basically means that P1 will no longer point towards this location. P1 will be removed from here, and P1 will start pointing to the location where P3 is pointing. Okay, right. So P1 will point towards the new object or the object which P3 is pointing. So one object can have two object references as well. Okay, and can be changed by any one of them. If I just print the names again, okay, I'll just put some kind of a line. And if I run this code, see it is printing Samsung for both P1 and P3. Okay, it is printing Samsung. If you change the state, if P1 changes the state, if I write P1 dot name is say Nokia, then what will happen is that in the memory, P1 will change this name to Nokia. Okay, so for P1 and P3, the value will be updated. Okay, if I print the name again and if I run this, you see, okay, right. This object over here, this object has got no reference. It will be automatically destroyed by Java. Okay, Java destroys the objects which have no references. Okay, I hope you have got my point. Fine. Now, suppose there is a variable. Fine. There is a variable in the phone class, say um, string number of batteries. Okay, or int number of batteries, integer. So this variable number of batteries will be there inside every class, every object. Okay, and when we initialize the object, okay, we write over here p1 dot name is iPhone, p1 dot number of batteries are 1. Every phone we know that has got just one battery. P1, P2, P3. I will write P3 as number of batteries as 1, P2 has number of batteries as 1, P1 has number of batteries as 1. So it really doesn't make any sense. Keep this variable in every object with the same value as 1. Okay, name can be different for every object, but the number of batteries are 1 for all the objects. Right. So what we do is that we make such a variable static. Okay, when you make this static, it no longer remains the part of the object. Okay, it is removed from the object and it comes over here at a central location, which is common for all the objects. Okay, it comes over here. Okay, number of batteries. All right, you can access this variable. You see in the test, when you are accessing this variable, you will get yellow warning signs that this is a static variable. Don't try to access it with, it's not an error, yellow is a warning. It basically means that this is a static variable. It is not the part of the object, so please don't try to access it with the reference. Okay, you should not be accessing it like this. Okay. Static variables can directly be accessed with the name of the class. You can directly write phone dot number of batteries are 1. For all the objects, it will become 1. But for non-static, you have to create the objects. So technically this variable is a non-static global variable. Global because it is not inside any function. Number of batteries is a static global variable. To access this non-static variable, you have to create the object of this class. Okay. Similarly, this is also a non-static function. To access this function, you have to create the object of the class, because obviously if I have to access the name property, okay, then for which object is the name property present? For that, you will have to first create the object of the particular class and then give it a name. Okay, but for non-static, you can directly access it. Okay, so this is also known as a non-static function. You can also have a static function. Static function will directly be accessible with the name of the class. Something like public static void, say ABC. So this function can directly be accessed with the name of the class. You can call it like this: phone dot, like we made this function, the name was ABC. Okay, so static functions, static variables, you can directly call them, and non-static, you can call them by creating the object of the class. All right. And you have got some variables in a class which can be global variables, non-static global variables, static global variables, and the variables which we have inside the function. Suppose inside the call function, I declare a variable int I equals 200. This is known as a local variable. The life or span of this variable is only inside this particular function. This is neither non-static nor static, nothing. It's a simple variable whose life or whose visibility is only inside this function. The name global variable can be accessed inside the call function, inside the message function. Okay, but a local variable is only accessible within the particular function. I cannot write over here I equals to 1000. It will give me an error. I cannot be resolved. The visibility of I or the lifespan of I is only inside the call function. Right. Now, coming over to Selenium. Okay, what we have seen is that we have seen that how we can create objects of particular classes. And use the non-static stuff inside it. How you can use the static stuff inside the classes. Insights, when we talk about Selenium, everything in Selenium is inbuilt. Okay, first of all, let me add the jar files of Selenium in this day2 project. I'll go to this project properties and go to Java build path. Go to the libraries tab, add the external jars, right? And under others, yeah, I will add all the jars which are outside the lib folder and also the jars which are in the lib folder. Okay,
Ashish, just a question.
yeah.
These jar files related to Selenium, so we have added in the common project, right? So why we need to add explicitly to individual
No,
projects?
there is no common project. Individually, you have to add it. This is a separate project. Yesterday I had created. This is a separate project I created today. So in today's project, I have added the jar files.
Okay, if we are creating every day on in each project, then we need to
Yeah,
use
in
this
every project,
explicitly.
you have to add the jars.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So over here, this project is now Selenium enabled. Okay. So I'll just make a new class known as Selenium Basics. All right. With the main function. All right. So over here, if I go to the official website, look, this is the API docs. Under the download section, you have the API docs. This is the documentation. Now, these are all the classes which are present in Selenium. Okay, even I don't remember all of them. Nobody remembers. We can refer the documentation and all. And if you scroll down, there'll be something written as WebDriver over here. You click on this and under all implementing classes, what do you mean by this line? I'll tell you in some time. Okay, basically these are the classes which we need to concentrate as beginners. Right, these classes over here are, you can say, they are the starting point. For every browser they have built a class, like Chrome driver is for Chrome, Edge driver is for Edge browser, remote web driver, this is for grid actually, Opera driver, Safari driver, Firefox driver. So there are different driver classes in Selenium, concrete driver classes. And these classes you need to use, you need to create the objects of these classes in order to automate these browsers. Let's look at Chrome driver. Okay, right. So this is the Chrome driver class. If I just object of Chrome driver, this is internal class in Selenium. I have added the jar files of Selenium in my project. Okay, so this jar file would, one of the jar files of Selenium would be having this particular class. You can move the mouse, import Chrome driver, and the error will go away. In the earlier program, I had made the phone class and then I had made the object of the phone class in another class. Out here, I am creating object of Chrome driver class. I did not make the Chrome driver. Chrome driver comes with the Selenium jars and you can use this class. And if I run this program, I will get an error. Illegal state exception. All of you will get this error. Okay, you cannot just automate Chrome like this. All right. In Chrome, you first check your versions. Go to help about Google Chrome. You check the version of Google Chrome. My version is 86.0.4240.75. Okay. And somehow it is now updating itself. Right. So once Chrome updates in your system, updates they matter with Selenium. Okay, once the Chrome browser it actually updates in your system, you cannot roll it back. Okay, and now for every browser, Selenium it says that you have an exe. Okay, you go to the official website and go to the download section and scroll down. They have this platforms supported by Selenium section, and you go to the browser section, and for say the browser Chrome driver is supported by Chromium project. So basically what happens is that in order to automate the browser provider gives you an exe file in order to automate it. For example, Chrome is by Google. So Google will give you, or Google has given you, an exe. You open this documentation link. This is the Chrome driver link by Google. This is actually for the automation of Chrome. See, you need to get the version of your Chrome. My version was 86 dot something. This was my version. So I can download the exe from this link. If you have some older versions, right? Uh, I think everybody must be having 86 at least. Okay. And if you don't have, just update your Chrome as well. Okay. Or you can go over here and look for the older versions as well. Okay. So all the versions are available in downloads. In this link, in downloads link, all the versions are there for the exe for Chrome 85. Okay. In my case, mine was, just a minute, 4240.75. Okay. 4240.75 is not available. 4240.20 is available, but it will do. I think this one will do. It should not be a major change. Like I have Chrome 89 and I am downloading the exe for 87. Okay, it should not be like that. Okay, I'll click on this link and download it for my OS. 32-bit zip will work on 64-bit. Okay, so you just download this exe and open it. Hold on. So I'll make a new folder known as browsers. Okay, in this I will keep the exe, right, and extract this zip file. So when you extract the zip file, you get an exe chrome driver.exe. Don't run this, you will not get anything. Okay, you just need to give a command in Eclipse. That is, you need to write over here system dot set property. Hold on. User.dir and give the path of the exe. In Java, you have to give double slash. Okay, it's the concept of escape sequence, and you set a system property. System is an internal class and set property is a static function in the class. So you set a system property. Sorry, it's not user.dir. I'm really sorry. Something my mind was somewhere else. It is WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. I'm sorry. Everything should be in lowercase. At times, people keep C for Chrome capital. It should not happen like this. Everything is in lowercase. Java is a case sensitive language. And over here, make sure the path to Chrome driver is fine. And now if I run this code, you will see that, okay, in my case, the Chrome it fails to launch. Okay, I get the exception, session not created exception. Look, the reason for this is I have a Chrome which is 86.0.4240.75 and the exe which I have downloaded is for 87. Okay, it's my mistake. I deliberately did that because people do this mistake. Okay, so you have to download it for the right version. This part over here, the last two digits can vary a little bit, but don't just drastically change the version. Okay, I will actually click on this and download the zip file again.
Ashish, one question. So what is the difference between the exe which we download to install the Chrome in the internet
That
and
is
the
for the
exe
Chrome
which is
browser. This
and
exe is to automate Chrome. This particular exe is to automate the Chrome browser. It is provided by the Selenium guys.
and whenever the browser keeps on updating and we need to change make
Yeah,
the
you need to
changes.
download the exe, yes. Okay. But the browser doesn't, pardon? Is anybody asking something?
Hi Ashish, I have a question. So this Chrome driver, we should update only on the machine where we are developing the scripts, or
Yeah,
what is
on
the
your
where?
on this on the machine on which the scripts are running. Okay,
But
you
the
need
users
to
will
update
be
it only.
using sorry, the users will be using different browsers, right? When they're no, I'm just trying to understand the use case here. Like where do we exactly?
No, you don't think about users, think about your automation script. Automation script requires this exe.
Okay,
Okay, it is not about users. In order to automate Chrome, okay, you need to have this exe in your path. You cannot directly automate Chrome. Okay, you need to say Selenium has to send few commands to the browser. It cannot directly send those commands. It will emulate or simulate sending those commands through this exe. Okay,
okay.
right.
Okay, I will just rephrase the same question. So when I'm developing the script, I should have this kind of setup. But when I'm installing the same script to the developer machine, even the even the developer machine should have the same setup. Correct, Ashish?
Whichever machine you are going, you should have this exe file.
Okay.
Okay, see now I downloaded the right one, and if I'm running this, you will see that corresponding to my browser, you get this. You see that a blank Chrome browser opens up. If you get the exception session not created, that means you don't have, like I got that exception, right? I wanted to show you session not created exception. If you get that, that means you don't have the right exe or your browser maybe has updated. So in case of Chrome, you have to, be careful about updations in browser. Okay. Now, once the browser is opened, you have the object of Chrome driver class. This object has got lot of functions. Okay, right.
Ashish,
Yes.
Ashish, in case of grid, when you are executing it on parallelly and on multiple machines, then also we need to install and execute keep this exe on all the machines on which we are going to execute.
When in grid you set up the nodes, okay,
Okay,
you need to set up the exe on the nodes.
okay. On the main machine, you need to just keep these things, and on not on
Yes.
every other machine you are doing
Yeah.
parallel execution.
Yes. You just need to set up the exes on the nodes. That's it.
Okay.
So you create the object of Chrome driver and you just write Chrome driver dot get to the particular URL. So Chrome will go to that particular URL, and if you run this code, you will see that a blank browser will open and it takes you to Yahoo. Right.
Ashish, how do we know that we should use .get to open the browser? Eh,
That comes from documentation, I will tell you.
Okay.
Okay. But this is just an example which I'm giving you. Similarly for Mozilla also, on the Selenium downloads page, for Firefox also, you have an exe. You open the documentation of Firefox and it's known as the Gecko driver exe. Okay, you can go to the Gecko driver releases, this link, and you know, download the latest one. Like you have this 0bot.27, you just go here and download it for your operating system, Windows 64-bit like I have. And you will have this Gecko driver.exe. So in order to automate Firefox, you have the class Firefox driver. Look, if you just write FIRE and hit Control space bar of the keyboard, you will get all the classes starting with this particular name. Control space bar. Okay, you can select Firefox driver from here instead of writing everything, right? And you can give the same command, say Firefox driver dot get to the URL http yahoo.com. So this will take Firefox to Yahoo, but if I will run this code, I will get an error because I need to set the property of the exe. You will get illegal state exception. You need to give the same kind of command system dot set property. In the key, you will have to write webdriver dot Gecko dot driver, and in the value you will have to give the value of the exe, that is Gecko driver dot exe. So when you run this code now, you will see that a blank Firefox will open and it will take you to Yahoo. Okay, in case of Firefox, you can prevent the automatic updates from happening. You can go to Tools Options and over here in Updates, okay, you can choose this option, check for updates, but let you choose to install them. So this way, you will be given a prompt that Firefox wants to update itself. You can select no over there so that, when update happens in Firefox, the problem is that the exe for the new version comes a little late. Google guys, they will update the exe on their website instantly. But Firefox guys sometimes take a little time. And in case the Firefox updates itself, then it doesn't work in your machine until or unless those guys they give you the latest Gecko driver exe, maybe after a week or something. Okay, so this becomes a problem. Fine. Now, similarly, you have got Edge these days. Microsoft Edge, even like I don't use it that much, but this is the Edge browser. Selenium can automate Edge as well. Actually, it's not Edge, it's actually Chrome these days because Microsoft and Google have a pact. In front of you, you might be seeing Edge, but behind the scene, basically the Chrome engine is running inside Edge as well. Okay, and in Edge, you can go to settings. You can go to the settings of the Edge and hold on. You can go to about Microsoft Edge and please make sure you have the latest Edge. It is 86.0.622.48. Fine, update your Edge. Fine. This browser is made possible by Chromium open source. It's actually Chrome which is running Edge. All right. The Chromium engine is running Edge. Right. Now for Edge, you have got this section on their website under the download section. You have this documentation and yeah, for release 86, like mine is 86.0.622.48. Yeah, this is my release. You can download the 64-bit exe from your OS for your OS from here. Like mine is Windows, so I'll download it from here. And once it downloads, again, you need to write the same command, that is system.set_property webdriver.edge.driver to the path of this particular exe. You have this ms edge driver, so you keep this over here and you just need to create the object of edge driver. This is the internal class in Selenium which manages edge. Okay, I told you, right? That is for every driver class or every browser you have a driver class. For Edge you have got Edge driver. Opera driver and Safari driver are not stable. Okay, I don't use them. These drivers are not stable. Remote web driver is for grid. When we study grid, we'll use it. Okay, and you can write edge driver dot get to http yahoo.com. So when you run this code, you will see Edge launching and going to Yahoo. Right. Now for Edge also, you have to be careful about the version of the browser and the exe. And updations in the browsers and all can cause issues in every browser. Okay. Now you don't need to write this line every time whenever you are working with Selenium. Okay. You don't need to write this line. You just keep the exes at a single location in your PC. Copy the location. Okay. And go to my computer properties. You have to add them in the environment variables. They will automatically be picked up. Okay, go to advanced system settings and go to environment variables. In environment variables, you will see system sets variables over here. Scroll down and you will see a path section. Edit this and create a new path and give the path of the drivers folder. Like I have already given it over here. The folder where you have kept all the exes basically. Okay. Right, I have it under others now. This is gone. Okay. Right. Fine. And you click on OK, OK, and you will have to, if I remove this line now, and if I run it, I will get an error. I will have to restart my PC. Okay. Restart your PC, and after that, you will find no need to give this system.set property lines. You able to get my point, right? Okay, so you can set in the system environment variables and make sure you keep all the exes at a single place. Now, these are the different drivers majorly we work with, and we need to create the objects of these driver classes in order to work with these drivers. But what if like we have to write a script which works on all the browsers? How do we write that particular script which can work on all the browsers? So for that, I'll not start it today. I'll start it tomorrow, interfaces and all that stuff. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Hi Ashish.
Yeah.
Regarding that static variables which we have defined in the
Yeah.
phone class. So what is the, I mean, if it is static and it is common for or the complete this thing, what is the practical use of it? Can
Look, there are many practical usages of static. Okay. Sometimes you have to define some properties or something. You can do it with static. Okay. We avoid using static because, in uh, especially in parallel execution, it creates problems if you have static variables in your project or something. But yes, static can be used to create constant files and all. I will tell you about constant files as we proceed. I will tell you about those as well. Okay. So definitely it is not that static is not used. It is used. Okay, but majorly we work with non-static stuff only. Okay.
okay?
Right. So uh, I will just a minute.